Alright, so I was watching a YouTube video, and he had a link in the description for the motor and the kayak he was using while he was fishing. So I looked at the links, and the kayak itself was $2,600. Then the motor was another $1,100. And I don't have $3,700 to throw in on a kayak so I could troll easier while I'm fishing. But I got this kayak at Walmart on clearance for $180. I'll put a link in the description so you can see what kayak it is. And I got a 30-pound trolling motor from Dick's Sporting Goods that I'm fixing to mount to the back of the kayak. In part 2 of this build, I'm going to rig together a pulley system so you can steer the kayak using foot pedals. But this video is just going to be showing how to build the mount for the motor. Alright, so the materials you're going to need for this build for the frame and mount for the motor is going to be 12 feet of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. It's about 1 inch outer diameter, it's 3/4 inch inner diameter. And for this particular kayak, it happens to fit perfectly through the holes that are already in the kayak. Then you're going to need 3 feet of 1/2 inch PVC pipe. You're going to need 8 of these corner connectors. These ones have 3/4 inch on 2 of the sides and 1/2 inch threaded on 1 of the sides. Because at the hardware store I was at, I couldn't find one that had 3/4 inch on all 3 pieces. So you get these threaded adapters for the 1/2 inch that threads into place here. And then these connectors slide into place. You're going to need a plank about 3 feet long by about 8 inches wide. You're going to need a 2x4 that's about equal length of the board. You're going to need a handsaw for cutting the PVC, as well as a drill with a screwdriver attachment and the different drill bits that you'll need. And I'm going to be using these screws because I had them laying around my house. And also, putting a screw through the PVC will hold it together better than the PVC glue. And it'll give me the option of taking the rig apart if I don't want to have it on my kayak anymore. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is measure out the frame rails for the upper half of the frame, going from just in front of the hole in the kayak to just behind the back of the kayak, so the frame will run smoothly and connect around the kayak like it's supposed to. To measure exactly how big or how long this piece needs to be, you could connect one of these corner pieces and put the downward half of the piece directly above the hole, and then get one of these other corner pieces and make sure that it has enough room to clear the hole and clear the front of the kayak. You're going to want to take these angle connectors and the threaded adapter, screw that in, and then connect it to the corner pieces of the upper frame. From there you'll measure from where the pipe seats in this piece and this piece, which you can see by where the line is if you look up close on the connector. And then you'll just insert it through like that to create the upper part of the frame rail. So then you will repeat that process, but upside down on the bottom of the boat. Okay, when you're done getting your square measurements, you'll have your upper and lower frame rails that essentially make a box like this. So next thing you're going to want to do is measure how long it's going to be from the top frame to the bottom frame. To measure the distance for these corner frame rails right here, you're going to want to get your PVC and measure it from where it seats on this bracket and on this bracket. And for this measurement, how long you want this to be is really going to be a preference. I wanted this frame to be tucked up as close to the boat as I could, so I measured it with the frame touching the bottom of the boat. To measure the upright frame rails for the forward part of the frame, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're going to need to run the frame rails through the frame or through the holes on the boat before you know how long you need to cut them off. It's an extra step, but it's done the same way that you measure these back frame rails. Alright, so after you have all your 4 posts measured and how you're going to want to have it, you're going to take these forward frame rails, put them in the holes, and then run these down through the forward holes on the boat. It's going to be a tight fit, so you just give it a quick pop and then it'll slide down. And again, I wanted this particular frame to be as close to the boat as I could, so I've measured mine with this front frame rail sitting on the boat. So if you want to be able to still use this strap when you're done with this mount, before you slide it through the holes, just make sure that you put it underneath the elastic band. But for the sake of demonstration, I didn't think that we need to have the tie-down straps above the frame. So then to finish connecting the bottom half of your frame, just like on the front, you're going to stick these downward posts in the frame here. Then you're going to grab your frame, make sure you keep track of what end is the back of the frame, or what end is the front of the frame and the back of the frame, so it lines up properly on the bottom. And then you just come down here and connect it to the posts that are sticking down. As you can see, this is the finished frame. All the measurements are done, and this is how it's going to sit when it's finally assembled. So from here, you're going to want to find out what size your screws are, and then get the appropriate drill bit out of your drill bit case. So the reason we're using a drill before we start screwing the pieces together is because, just like when you're working with wood, the pilot hole helps to prevent the PVC from splitting when you force a piece of metal through it. You're just going to find the center of it and drill a hole all the way through. So after you have your pilot hole drilled, just going to put the screw in place and then slowly start drilling it in. Now these screws are a little bit longer, so you're going to want to be careful when you're putting it through that you don't damage the boat. And then you're going to want to repeat that on every place where the smooth PVC comes together with one of the brackets. Alright, so you can see how much extra screw I have on this on the frame. These are just, like I said before, these are just screws that I had laying around the house. So I'm going to get my angle grinder and cut the ends of the screws off so I don't have any excess hanging out when I'm done with this. Alright, so after you have all your screws drilled and have the excess cut off and you have your frame reassembled, you notice it's actually a really sturdy frame. You can use it to pick up the entire boat. Don't have to worry about any of this breaking or falling apart. From here, what you're going to want to do is get working on the platform that you're actually going to mount the motor to. So for that, we get our 2x4 and our plank. And we're just going to take the 2x4 and mount it to the end of the plank. That's really simple, just like we did with the for the PVC pipe. You're going to line the board, then you're going to get a drill and some screws. You're going to drill your pilot hole and then put the screws through once you have the hole drilled. So after you have the mounting platform built for the motor, next step is to line it up with the frame just like you did before, you're going to drill 4 holes to mount or to secure the platform to the frame. So now that you have the platform securely mounted to the frame with no holes actually bolt or drilled into the kayak itself, you can securely mount your motor on the back of your kayak. Okay, so as you can see, the motor is securely mounted to the back of the kayak. It's not coming off here. It's secured in place. And if you stay tuned for part 2 of this build series, you'll see how I overcome the issue of steering.